G'day YouTubers and Fallout fans, and wow, Fallout Season 2 is officially done, and I don't think that even I believed how insane that this finale was actually going to be. We have the Legion, NCR, Mr. House, the Enclave, good old NCR power armor again, and just this episode left us with cliffhangers that wasn't honestly fair to make us wait another year to check out what's happening. So in this video I'm breaking down episode 8, any of the Easter eggs I can find, lore connections and possible setups for season 3. Now let's get stuck into it. Alright, first up we're going to start off with the Legion, and they're exactly where we left them off. Tearing each other apart over the Ghoul's little, maybe tricky pulled with the dynamite, which I've got to say was pretty cool. But next thing we get to see in this scene is Macaulay Culkin's character actually dragging the original Kaiser into a tent while all the battling around them is happening. And in doing so, when you see him pull him into the tent, you actually see the previous Kaiser that Macaulay Culkin was under already passed on with a spear in him, as Macaulay Culkin drags the old Kaiser in just to check out the old note. And it must have been sad for old Macaulay Culkin when he finally got to read the note, and it actually states on it that I am Kaiser, I am the Legion, it dies with me. Now, that was pretty sad to see for the poor old fella, because, you know, I think he'd holding out to actually see who the actual Kaiser was supposed to be. But, gotta admit, he's stepping up to the role quick, because in his quick thinking there was another Legionnaire in the tent with him, and may have overheard or seen the note, and old Macaulay Culkin's character realises that, steps up really quick, shanks him a little bit or stabs him, he goes down. Macaulay Culkin's character obviously decides then, I'm going to be the new Kaiser. Grabs the old Kaiser's little wreath, little crown that he has, put it on, and exits the tent. And as soon as he exits the tent, everyone from the Legion is there. He's pronounced the new Kaiser, and he immediately tells them that they're heading to New Vegas to take it over, set up a palace worthy of their Legion, and yeah, that's about it. He's heading to the New Vegas to take over. And there were actually some pretty little cool Easter eggs of the weapons that I actually got to see in this one, and I'll shout those ones out to you right now. We have the M79 grenade rifle again. Now this one time we have a Chinese assault rifle that we'll see out of Fallout 3 the game. And there's always this axe that I've always been curious about. I've always wondered not if it's Grognak's axe from the comics that are in the actual Fallout games. Here we have a single shot shotgun from New Vegas, which I'm pretty sure of, a sawn-off pump shotgun from Fallout 76, an MP40, which was actually a Fallout 4 mod, so it was actually pretty cool, actually an MP40 in this, as well as I'm pretty sure we have a 45 auto submachine gun with a drum mag. Now, if I did spot any that you might have missed at home, drop it down in the comments. I'm always happy for more little Easter eggs. Next, we're back on top of the Lucky 38 with the Ghoul and Mr. House, and it was pretty surreal, because we find ourselves with the Ghoul facing his Gauss rifle exactly at Mr. House's machine that's keeping him alive. And now the bargaining begins. This is where the Ghoul is pretty much stating he just wants to know where the vault is that's holding his family, and he knows that Mr. House knows. And even Mr. House states, yeah, I do know, and I would have given you the information before, but you didn't actually deliver the cold fusion that I wanted to, so that's why you didn't get it. So the Ghoul ends up, knows, you know, he stuffed up a little bit, but it's okay. But after a little bit of back and forth as well, it was a little bit interesting that Mr. House admitted that he was actually quite happy to be alive again, and that throughout the years that his body's actually taken a lot of attacks, you know, maybe from poisoning, stabbings, shootings even. I'm not too sure how much that actually delved into, but I was wondering if he was actually referring to possibly, you know, because this show is based 15 years after the events of Fallout New Vegas, if possibly he was talking about the courier doing something to his body, because I know for sure when I was playing the game that I wasn't too nice on Mr. House, that's for sure, and I might have just accidentally taken over. But back onto the main story. Mr. House finally says, yeah, all right, sweet as, I'll show you where the vault is, but you got to do one thing first. And he rips out this custom Pit Boy, nice little chrome Pit Boy, looks like definitely a Mr. House special, and says to the Ghoul, you have to wear this in order for me to be able to show you where the vault is. So the Ghoul ends up going, yeah, all right, and he whacks the Pit Boy on. And then Mr. House says,
everyone works for me eventually.
And then we learn something huge as Mr. House and the Ghoul are on their way to the Vault-Tec headquarters. Now, we finally find out that Mr. House thought that Vault-Tec was actually running everything, so he didn't really trust them that much. So he put in little systems in place so he might be able to backdoor the systems and able to control what he needs to in New Vegas. Like he said, he did the pokie machines, the roulette board, so he pretty much rigged everything so he was able to control it. But what he didn't take into fact, like he says, was there was another person behind the scenes, the people that actually created the Deathclaws, the Enclave. And it ends up being that the Enclave was actually the ones that owned the vault that was underneath New Vegas. And the Ghoul unknowingly actually handed the President of the United States, even though he didn't know, was actually in the Enclave, he handed him the cold fusion and ended up causing the whole world to come to an end anyway. And they talk about it and the Ghoul's like, oh well, you know, I am who I am. And that's pretty much like Mr. House has sort of given it to him a fair bit on this way to the vault. But eventually they get there and Mr. House actually tells him which, you know, sub-level they're on. They go down to the sub-level and he finds the pods that his family in and builds up the courage finally to open the pods to be able to see his family. And of course, the big cliffhanger was his family actually wasn't in there. Barb and his daughter wasn't actually in the cryopods, but there is this little silver lining to it. In the bottom of Barb's cryopod, there was actually a postcard and it said Colorado on the front of it. And on the back of it, it actually said Colorado was a good idea. So there's a little bit of hope for the Ghoul that there's a possibility that his family might be located in Colorado. So knowing the Ghoul, he's got that little bit of hope, so he's on his way. But he still has Mr. House attached to his wrist. Nah, not having that anymore. He ditches Mr. House. Mr. House is yelling out, but what about the Enclave? There's still the Enclave. We still have stuff to do. The Ghoul's not having any of it, so he's done. And next thing you know, the Ghoul is heading off to Colorado, and that's the last little scene we see, but it's cool to see that he's on his own little adventure. Now, one of my favourite characters to pop back up in the final episode, Norm, and we finally get to see what happens to him, between him and the Vault 31 people in the Vault-Tec offices. Now, I feel Norm's luck stat must be almost maxed out, because this poor fella, at the moment, he's getting drugged through the Vault-Tec offices and told pretty much he's about to be executed for what he's done, and doesn't matter what he can say or what he can do, the Vault 31 people are going to take him out. Now, he's kicking and fighting and, you know, kicking up a little bit of fuss and not wanting this to happen. Now, Claudia being his friend and maybe having a little bit of a liking for him is trying to fight for him as well, but the other Vault 31 people are not having it at all. So she gets in a little bit of a kerfuffle, gets pushed away and lands on the elevator button door. Now, they all hear the ding, the elevator doors open, and they all freak out a little bit, but nothing really happens. One of the Vaulties put their heads in, checks out, nothing happens. But then next thing you know, a big swarm of rad roaches come out of nowhere and start attacking everyone and actually killing them. And it was crazy, like they were pretty big roaches. So everyone starts to scatter, the Vault 31 people and Norm. No one's worried about Norm, they're just scattering. Now the Vault 31 people find their way back to a little room, go to close it, Norm's trying to get in, they're like, nah, you're not having it, you stay out. They didn't close it quick enough and one roach got in and that was enough. The door flung open and all the roaches went in that room and it had a big old massacre. While poor old Norm was actually outside hiding underneath the desk. So once everything quiets down, old Norm goes, all right, time to go check it out. He goes, checks out his room. Old Claudia, she didn't look the best, but she was still alive. Thank God for that one. Little silver lining for Norm there. So he sweeps up old Claudia, whacks her in like a little bit of a trolley and starts heading out of the Vault-Tec offices, all dressed up, looking like a little bit of Norm Mad Max, and I love to see it. Can't wait to see what Norm's going to do in Season 3 because it looks like he's ready for the wasteland. Now this reveal was wild to me, everyone. In a flashback with Cooper, Howard and Barb, we see him in an airport and next thing you know, a young Hank runs up to him very excited, very happily to introduce them to his new bride. And next thing you know, out pops Steph. So it's like, wow. There you go. That's how she actually got into the vault. So that night that Cooper Howard told her to take old Hanky away, she ended up, must have thought in her head, instead of dumping him, I might look after him and, you know, woo him a little bit and see what it does. And obviously it worked. In one night she managed to be able to get Hank to marry her, and that was her shot and that was her in to get into the vault. And I guess, like her mum said, do whatever you can to survive. I mean, whatever you can, like no means nothing, like no matter what, get that done. And obviously she's seen her in with Hank and that was it. And then it crosses over to one of the coolest little things ever, and another little secrets that I find that this episode popped out for us was to go back to seeing Steph in the vault, in the overseas office, locked in there, and all the other vaulties are banging on the door, the Vault 32 people trying to get to her, and it looks like she's had enough. So she's pulled out Hank's special lockbox that, you know, she traded Betty for, and we always wondered what was in it. She finally flips it open, and there it is, a black Pip-Boy with an E on it, the Enclave Pip-Boy. So it just goes to show Hank was in the Enclave the entire time. And I had a little bit of an inkling feeling about that one because, you know, when he originally ran up to Cooper, Howard and Barb, he seemed really happy, especially for a fella that just had the cold fusion taken out of his neck and pretty much stolen off him. Wasn't he a bit happy to have something stolen off him from his actual company? So it just goes to show that Hank was one of them all along. And it's crazy to see. But the next thing you see, Steph whacks that Pip-Boy on, tells over the Enclave over the radio that she's Hank's wife, and to initiate phase 2.
Initiate phase 2.
And I'm wondering if phase 2 is something to do with the FEV, you know, virus that they had, the experiment going on in those 2 vaults, and if that might kickstart the mutations on them, and we might actually get to see in season 3 what actually happens to Vault 32 and Vault 33, which is crazy. Like, are they actually going to turn into super mutants, centaurs, ghouls, something new completely that we haven't seen that they're just going to whack into the show? Who knows? But it's going to be very exciting to see what happens in season 3 with Steph. Next up, we're back in Freeside with Maximus after he just got knocked out of the strip by a Deathclaw, and a lot of Deathclaws are starting to enter into Freeside. But lucky enough for Maximus, he's got some, you know, balls of steel as well as still that NCR power armor, which lucky enough for him has some hidden weapons that he didn't know about that have finally popped up. A couple might be in that he's got a rocket launcher on his gauntlets, as well as he's got rocket launchers on his back, and as usual his blades that are on his gauntlets, which are epic. I got to add that. And by the looks of it, after this battle, that suit can take a lot of damage, a lot more than what a normal suit would take, I would think. And then next thing you know, he gets stuck into it. And Thaddeus and the other, you know, Freeside people kind of worked out to stay out of the way, so Thaddeus is getting them all back into the shops and anywhere they can hide. And next thing you know, after Maximus is battling for a little bit, all the Freeside people start placing bets on whether or not he's actually going to survive or how long he's going to survive. Some people might be doing 5 minutes, 20 minutes, all of that. And next thing you know, the absolute legend Thaddeus walks over and drops 500 caps on Maximus to win.
500 says he wins. Count it, losers.
Now, that's pretty epic and a pretty good friend thinking that Maximus is going to win. But next thing you know, you're looking out, Maximus is copping it a little bit, suit's copping a little bit of damage, Thaddeus disappears, and next thing you know, Thaddeus is on a roof and helps Maximus out and pops the Deathclaw in the eye. You know, it doesn't really take it down, but just gives it a little bit of distraction enough that Maximus ends up taking it out with a blade gauntlet. Now, this is where it starts to get really crazy. After that little scuffle he had with the Deathclaw, that power armor, the NCR power armor is done. It's Cactus, she's cooked. So, being Maximus, the guy that he is, the legend, he gets out of the power armor, grabs a roulette board and a pool cue, and decides that he's going to take on the rest of the Deathclaws just like that. And I'll give him that. He stood there and he was going to take it on. Some of the Freeside people were going to join him, but I think they were like, nah, because it's just not going to happen like that. There's not enough of us. And I guess everyone, even I thought, all right, well, this might be done for Maximus. He's done, or is someone going to pop up and save him? And luckily enough, and cool enough, there was. Another bullet goes off, kills a Deathclaw with one bullet. He looks up at Thaddeus. Thaddeus is like, nope, wasn't me. Points over to someone else. And it's an NCR Ranger with an anti-material rifle from Fallout New Vegas. And it's just epic to see how much game lore they're actually bringing in this after, and you know, the Easter eggs that come with it. But NCR Ranger shoots off another shot, kills another Deathclaw with one shot, and then next thing you know, you see like a whole platoon of NCR people, Rangers, soldiers, walking in, ready to defend the Freeside and the strip and take it back from the Deathclaws. Now, it really looks like season 3, we're setting up for a pretty big war in Vegas. And it'll be pretty epic to see how that comes about. Now, here was a little sneaky one that they were trying to put in after the credits rolled. Now, if you actually stay, which I did, because I'm a little bit of a nerd, all the way past the credits, they threw in another little quick scene, which I think is going to be very, very cool to see in the season 3. Now, you actually find yourself back at the Brotherhood Area 51 area, and you're sort of in the medic bay, and you got a lot of Brotherhood soldiers that are, you know, missing limbs, have been shot, power armor people dragging people in, and you actually get to see Dane, Maximus' friend, running around with this thing that looks like it would hold, you know, plans or documents or something. And now she runs off and goes up to Quintus's room, gets let in, sees Quintus. He's having a little bit of a tanty. You know, he wasn't really happy with how it was meant to go. Brotherhood was meant to come together and end up, they've turned on each other and almost destroy each other. So he doesn't want to be Quintus the Unifier no more. He gets Dane to open up these documents or plans on the table and says he's going to be Quintus the Destroyer. And then the plans on the table happen to be Liberty Prime. Now, I don't know how they're going to do it, but it's going to be insanely awesome to see Liberty Prime, you know, on a show pretty much. So instead of having a video game where it's, you know, we get to play with it and it's really cool, but you know, this second season of Fallout has really been epic with how much detail they've gone into it and brought in, you know, the Easter eggs from the games and a little bit of lore and all this stuff. But to actually bring in Liberty Prime, which was out of Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, like, that's just gonna be epic on its own, and I can't wait to see when they do that. And finally, we've come to Lucy, and we're exactly where we left Lucy off. At the Vault-Tec headquarters mainframe, she's opened the door and discovered that old Diana's head is used on the table, and she just does not know why, or can't actually fathom in her head why someone's head is actually just hooked up to all these wires and computers and stuff. And she goes in, and you can see she's a little bit shocked, tries to actually talk to the head. The head can talk, or Diana can talk, but it sort of reminded me a lot of Alien Resurrection with the Scrawny, where you've seen when she walks in and sees all their clones. It was sort of like that, because the head starts going on about killing her.
Kill me!
No, I can't.
And just, yeah, kill me, want to be killed, all this stuff for the head. And like, I'd be curious, I'd be wanting to know questions like, why are you hooked up to this? She was originally with the Enclave people, so I don't know why she's here right now. Like, it's really crazy for that one to see like that. Like, yeah. And then next thing you know, obviously Lucy's sort of had enough, I feel, the poor thing.
Why does everybody always want me to kill them all the time?
Throughout this whole journey, she's actually been asked to, you know, maim people, kill people, you know, in all just, you know, for the help her journey on. And again, this head's there screaming for it to be killed, and she's just, you know, in shock of what's actually happening. And I guess, yeah, she finally succumbed to the anger and possibly killed the head with a crowbar. And yeah, that was the end of that little saga. She walked out of the room on that one, and I guess she just needed a bit of air. So you see her up on sort of like a balcony in the Vault-Tec headquarters, and then next thing you know, her dad pops up, so he's no longer actually locked up, you know, or cuffed up where she had him. And again, there he is trying to manipulate her, trying to talk to her, tell her to do this, tell her to do that. This is going to be better if we actually did this. And then it comes about, a little lackey of his walks out, and Hank goes and shows her about the little micro implants that they have now, because he's finally worked it out. And then going along the lines of she's actually going to be implanted with one, so he can pretty much control her or be the good daughter again. And that's pretty sad to see that out of all that, it just ends up that Hank's he's just like the rest of them, isn't he? He just didn't really seem like he had that much love for his daughter, if you're willing to actually put her under the, you know, brain mind control thing. And yeah, it was pretty crazy to see, and it almost happened. It almost happened. The lackey grabs her and she can't really fight it off. Hank's about to give her the implant, and the next thing you know, the Ghoul, because he was already in the vault with Mr. House, pops up out of nowhere, shoots the lackey, pops Hank in the bum, and leaves the ultimate choice up to Lucy of what to do with Hank. Ghoul turns around, goes on his way, and leaves Lucy to it. Lucy ultimately puts an implant in Hank and was just needed to know some answers, probably going to turn it on and take her back, or take him back to the vault and, yeah, face justice, or possibly cap him what she was doing. But it ends up that the vault was actually, or the Vault-Tec headquarters was actually under the Lucky 38, because you see her and Hank exit the Lucky 38, and that's when you get to hear a lot of the real big cliffhangers for next season, like telling her that this isn't the real world, the actual experiment was the surface and not the vaults.
You think this is the real world? The surface is the experiment.
Everything's not what she seems. He was actually Mrs. going to Steph. He never actually told her that he was married to Steph, but it'd be pretty interesting once she actually finds that one out. And next thing you know, he sits down, slips out his own controller, tells him he loves her, and pretty much lobotomizes himself so he can't actually tell her anymore. And that was sad for her, because I think realistically she just wanted her dad back in the end. Even though it was not going to happen, I think she still held a little bit of hope that she was going to get her dad back. But no, he pretty much lobotomized himself and wiped any memory of her or anything that he's done. So that's Hank done. All the secrets that could have popped out of Hank are pretty much done now. And then you would think that's pretty much it. Old poor Lucy, she gets up, she's very sad, she's gonna leave her dad there, but no. There's the silver lining, y'all. Next thing you know, Maximus pops up out of nowhere after the Deathclaw battle, the NCR people handing the Deathclaws, and they come back together finally. Their little bit of arc happened. Maximus' hero arc finally does, and Lucy's, I guess, love story arc finally comes back together. Even though probably wasn't the end result she wanted, she got Maximus back, which was pretty cool to actually see. And then the final shots that we get to see is Maximus and Lucy at the top of the Lucky 38, and they're looking out in the penthouse, and they actually see the full Legion marching towards Vegas. Lucy looks towards Maximus and...
I could have prevented this. There's gonna be a war, and it's all my fault.
Yeah, well, welcome to the wasteland.
So what a way to end it, and it's going to be really cool to see how that war plays out, because now we've got the NCR in the strip, Legion's coming. Almost look like the Legion might have had a couple more fights in the NCR, but that's going to be an epic war, and I can't wait for season 3. It sucks it's going to be so long, but I still can't wait. Alrighty, Fallout fans, my final thoughts on season 2. It ended big. We had Lucy finally dealing with stuff with her dad, finding out a little bit more about the Enclave. Steph has definitely something set up, and it's crazy to see. We got to see Maximus and his NCR power armor take on some Deathclaws finally. It was epic. The Ghoul finally finding a little bit more of his story, but then going out on another adventure, which is really cool. Mr. House is finally awake, and it's really setting up for something pretty epic in season 3. And the little Liberty Prime teaser they gave us was just insane. I can't wait to see how they pull that off in season 3. But what are your thoughts? Why don't you drop all your thoughts in the comments below? I'll answer back to all yours. And then I'd also quickly just like to say thank you to all my subs for liking and watching my videos. I love you all. And anyone that's new that's watching that's made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe. And maybe jump over to my channel and check out some of my other videos. You might just like them. And as usual, I'll catch you on the next one.